Hey, welcome everybody. I am Paul Ash. This is They Talk Funny. With me is the fabulous, the talented, the amazing Kenny Robinson. Uh, I'm very privileged. I want to also thank everybody who's ever watched and liked any of the videos. We just hit 12,000 videos last week or
Wow.
watches last week, and 3,000 of them have been for these They Talk Funnies. I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm amazingly happy to have the fabulous Kenny Robinson on the show here. Welcome, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
it's
And was that bass? Was that a little bit of a distorted play that funky music, White Boy?
yeah, that was actually it was from a royalty free music site, so it was
Okay, so it was similar but not the same.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
the way to get around that. Which we did a little talking beforehand. We're going to get into ways to get around things a little later. But I just, you are you're a landmark. You are beyond being a benchmark. You are what you the
I'm a
first
bench warmer.
bench warmer. You were the first person of color to headline comedy coast to coast in this country. You
Maybe Evan Carter. I think Evan Carter had me beat by a couple of years. When I arrived into Toronto, he was already, with the Yuck Yucks, top half dozen, and of course he was doing all the corporate gigs and the Alan Thicke, Alan Bly type, not Alan Bly, Alan Hemmel type shows. So. Yeah, so I'll take credit where it's due, but I got to tip my hat off to Mr. Carter. He was a gentleman there, a gentleman of color before me. So
that and that just like again that just kind of proves how much of a gentleman you are, how much you look out for everybody else. That's been a hallmark of your career. You've been there for so many people, and you never take credit where you don't think it's deserved. I, I remember you being on. It wasn't Jenny Jones, but some early talk show talking about freedom of speech, and at the same time you were right. Like does does
the
that make
Shirley
sense?
Show on CTV, Shirley Solomon.
Was that it?
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Breslin was there as well.
That was a
But
big setup to get slaughtered. They packed the audience with uh, angry special interest groups, and then they tried to get me to step in dog poo so they could all jump on me. They said, "Well, do something controversial." So I did material about a police shooting of a young black kid from behind. They said that they said he tried to run him over. I said, "Well, I guess he must have been in reverse because he shot him in the back." So yes, but you have other things more controversial. I said, what's more controversial than an unarmed black kid getting shot by the police? They wanted me to say, well, I know the jokes they wanted me to say. I just wasn't going to step into that pile.
yeah, your intelligence definitely shines through. You've always I've seen you debating people about who talk about freedom of speech, but also think it's like freedom of consequences at the same time, and you generally school them very well.
Oh yeah.
Uh, it's what what
You
makes
pay
you
for what you say.
yeah.
Sometimes you pay by getting punched in the mouth. Other times you pay for not working November till the end of to the beginning of January for about 25 years because the clubs book all the corporate Christmas parties into the club, and it's like Al Pacino in Scarface. I'm the bad man. So, the bad man can't perform for, when he gets to work 10 months out of 12 when there is work to have.
Yeah, the things you said in your bio you say you do corporate, you tour clubs, you do theaters, you do festivals, you do swingers clubs, the full deal. Like you live the life. Everything that you say on stage is stuff that's true to you, or at least it comes across to somebody who watches you. And do you write intentionally? Like, are you?
I
How
write
can I
from
say
the
this?
heart. What I think, what my opinions are, the things that anger me, the things that bring me joy. Um, you know, God knows if I had the ability to write something that was going to be popular, nobody would raise their eyebrows or have complaints with. I'd have a home with a pool and very spoiled kids. But instead, I try to walk it, with a big chunk of truth behind what I say and do. And anything I say on stage, I'm prepared to suffer the consequences or enjoy the repercussions of it.
I think that that truth that you speak really comes through, and that's what connects you to audiences. About your writing process, do you wait till you are annoyed with something, or do you look for things to be annoyed with,
Well, you
or
don't have to look very far, do you?
no?
Well, no. I mean, okay. When things are chaotic, that's when it's the best for me. Doesn't matter if Toronto has a crack smoking mayor that's very lovable, despite his right wing policies, or if it's that, or if it's your childhood football player that has murdered his wife and a friend, or if it's rioting in downtown Minneapolis. These things are the things that motivate me. These are things that I can stay up all night long and just keep cranking it out. I'm like a vulture in a tree. I wait to see our parts of society that are dying or at least limping or starting to decay, and then I come in and I feast upon those subjects.
That,
So,
it,
I don't look for anything to get angry with, but I'm sure if I sit back, I'll find something.
is that why you ran for? Was it 2 years ago you ran for
Two
office?
years ago. Yeah. Well, I've always had a thing for politics, and I met this gentleman who's the head of the None of the Above party, and he kind of twisted my arm into running. And I said, it was a last minute, and I said, yeah. I looked at it like, well, let's see. Mike McDonald had just passed away, and Mike Bullard was having problems of his own, and of the older, more visible comics, I said, well. Let me give this here a run. I mean, I'd rather have been a member of the Liberal Party, even though we had a Liberal in the writing here, and he lost to he got knocked out by a Tory, and he used to be Wynn's um, Minister of Finance. So I was quite proud that when I was allowed to attend the debates and I was able to go against guys like that and got applause breaks. But I only had 10 campaign signs, and my whole campaign team was my girlfriend, who we had to have had to get signatures to even get me on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
So she was better at approaching strangers than I was. So at one point she's outside the liquor store. I'm sitting in a warm car while it's raining, and I felt like I was pimping. I said, "Bitch, better get my signatures. Better get my names, woman." So I was able to get onto the ballot, and I finished fifth out of seventh, but I beat the Libertarian, and they're a miserable bunch of bastards. And there was the Vegan Party, and it was funny because the vegan the member of the Vegan Party didn't go to the debates. I quipped that he was probably at a barbecue, but yeah, but I mean, the party I was with, it was all right, but we really didn't have a chance of winning, and who knows? I mean, then they tried to get me to run for a city council out here in Mississauga because somebody was stepping aside, but I went, you know what? You got to have a team. You got to have more than $12 to make up flyers, and it helps if you're associated with one of the three major parties.
Right.
When you say I'm with none of the above, people go, yeah, right. Slam the door on your face, or they just keep walking by. Who are you? So and then I forgot all about this, but everybody reminded me that was the name of the party that Richard Pryor ran for office in Brewster's Millions. None of the above. So I thought
Right.
that was kind of funny, but well, he had money to back him. I didn't. So you need a team, and you need money in order to run for office and have a run and win.
And just a reminder, I noticed that we're getting some people coming into view. If you have any questions for Kenny Robinson, please just type them in. We'll bring them in on screen so he has a chance of answering them. Thank you very much for watching. Now, talking about Pryor, you've been running is it 25 years for the
25 years this April. We were planning big things, but the damn Rona shut us down, brah.
Rona?
You know,
Rona
well,
came to
shut down the
town.
whole world. I love these people that go in. It's the government's trying to take away my freedom, take away my rights, but it's all over the world. So, you think all the governments are a conspiracy to make you wear a mask and not be able to go to the gym? Do you think every government? You think the governments that have ideological differences they got together on this one issue? They didn't decide to solve world hunger or find a cure for cancer. No, they wanted fart heads not to be able to go to the park or go to the bar and have to wear a mask. It's all a big worldwide conspiracy. These idiots.
It's
Yeah,
yeah.
COVID ruined the big celebration we had, but I did get. I was able to finish the 25th Nubian anniversary. I call the CD the next 25 because there are 25 cuts on the CD.
Yep.
And so that so it's 25 cuts, and we've done it 25 years, and here's to another 25. I'll be there with them if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The flood. This. All right. You. When did you start making the transition into being like such a mentor? Like the Nubian Disciples of Prior has been an amazing launching pad for so many performers, especially performers of color in Canada. Did you always kind of feel an obligation to be a mentor to the younger comics,
Well,
or
I've always loved comics, so I've always kind of looked out for the younger ones and on the road and what have you. And then I guess it was after the Rodney King riots, I became more aware of racial things and decided I wanted to take it on stage. And then I got to work with Paul Mooney for a week, and Mooney at the end of the week, I love the way how you stopped sugarcoating your shit. So I'd never been accused of sugarcoating anything, but Paul Mooney went and whooped me on the butt and told me I've been sugarcoating it. So then opening for Chris Rock at another festival here in Toronto, it exposed me to an all black or a more a predominantly black audience as opposed to always exclusively white. Like I used to tease, I used to say in the old days before the Nubians, if you saw four black people in a comedy audience, they were comps of Ronnie Edwards. So we did, but I did a show that was a hip hop show with myself, Ronnie, and another comic from Buffalo, and 3 or 4 hip hop groups. And that's when first time I had a predominantly black audience, and I did stuff about with the O.J. Simpson trial, and of course, police profiling and that type of stuff in the audience was tearing it up. So I knew then that there was an audience waiting to hear this kind of stuff. And then I was taking acting classes, and I used to stop off at Yucks on the open mic now with the amateur night, the Monday night. And I'd have all these guys run up to me and go, "Oh, wait till you see this one act. He sets your race back 25 years." And, that shit made me mad because I always thought when I got liquored up, I set my race back 25 years. So who is this man who's going to be out setting my race back on me? And it was Mr. Mo, who later on won a Gemini Award for his work with Darren Jones on The Buzz. And he
yep.
didn't set the race back 25 years. He didn't know how to set a joke up. And then another guy that was in charge of letting the talent on said, "You wait till you see this one guy. He rolls his eyes all big. Looks like something off the Apollo." And I'd say, "Well, look, man, do you know the history of the Apollo?" And I said, if he's off the Apollo, then, God bless him. So I took this young man under my arm and gave him I bought this beautiful hardback cover of the history of the Apollo. And I said, well, this is where he thinks that you're off of. Well, then congratulations. And Kadar Brown's gone on to have a great acting career. He even got to roll his eyes with disdain as he played Miles Davis in a movie. So, so I guess those eyes, those eye rolling, it all works. But I mean, it was, it seemed like the door was closed. And it was kind of my attitude was like, well, I've accomplished some things at this point. So if I don't kick the door open, who will?
Yeah.
And that's how that all came to be, So it was, I definitely didn't think it was going to be 25 years. And I definitely had no clue it was going to be like 200-300 people turned away from our first show. and that'll become the box office smash that it's become. And also that it's an institution. At first, it was something radical, and now it's kind of like it's
You can't
last
imagine a
month of
month
the
without
Sunday.
it. Yeah.
You
Uh,
know,
and you and Ronnie Edwards like continue to team up, thick and thin.
Thick and
Y-
Thin, and then and After
Yeah.
Hours to some extent. But Thick and Thin was we if CBC could get another show that didn't have a levy on it, they'd been happy to have the numbers that we had for Thick and Thin. But some people thought it was too black, too racial, too offensive. Like Wayne Fleming and myself, we did a sketch where he's just a guy drinking in the bar with a bartender, and he talks about Tiger Woods. He's he's one of the good ones. He's not like those people. So what do you mean those people? So that was like more than 20 years ago. You people, them people, those people. I was playing with that. And then Ronnie Edwards played the part of Willie O'Ree, and I did Don Blackcherry. And what do you say we put this guy in the Hockey Hall of Fame, hey? Hey, I know you're very popular in Quebec because those people, they like the jazz music there, So, I was doing Don Blackcherry interviewing Willie O'Ree. So we changed some of the names of players that may have been vicious towards him to protect ourselves from lawsuits. And, we turned that into comedy. So that was more than 20 years ago. And now, those things are on the front headlines again.
And Janelle Niles is saying, commenting that those people being golfers.
Those Niles, she's an incredible young lady, and she's doing things positive, for the comedy scene in Ottawa. And if I had the time and the way, I'd hook her up with every other Aboriginal comic that I've had the pleasure of meeting in the years going across the country. But she's trying to make something happen there in her own circuit. Had a nice little write up in Reader's Digest. So it's
Nice.
glad to see that she her name just popped up here on the screen. That was a nice treat for me. Thank you.
She's been actually there was a couple people like she before we even started she said she was so excited, and Lexi Batch wanted to say thanks to Janelle for the heads up about this interview. Now, all right, you did Don Cherry, the last controversy that sort of buried Don Cherry. It wasn't unexpected. Do you think it was like past due or?
Well, I liked Don Cherry. After they took him off, I had less interest in watching Hockey Night in Canada. I used to say that Don Cherry is the white uncle that disowned my mother and aunt for marrying blacks. He was the white uncle that I never got to know. But I enjoyed him. And maybe his time had come and gone. But when you think about it, with COVID, he wouldn't have been able to broadcast the games that were in the bubble anyway, because he's of that age that he would have been at risk. So
Yeah.
even if Don hadn't have gotten fired, he would have been put out the pasture come this past March.
And to say that like he had done some good things
Oh,
with his
sure.
fame.
Well, Mussolini
For
made the
veterans.
trains run on time.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
if you want to say, did he do something good? But yeah, I enjoyed him. He dressed like a lot of the guys I grew up idolizing and seeing my dads hang with. Um, and he shot from the hip. I used to say that my Aunt Lorraine was to the right of Don Cherry. So but is he a dinosaur? Yeah.
Your Aunt Lorraine sounds like somebody who would be interesting to listen to. But Janelle
Yes.
Niles wants to thank you very much. You indirectly mentor me with your podcast appearances and all your work. Will Flynn is saying it's comforting to hear some familiar voices. I mean, people across this country. I do you feel the love that especially like the comedians. Every comedian knows who you are. It's you. Not enough. I think audience members know who you are. Is something I feel. It's like I always want to like I've been telling people to buy your blue CD, right? Just to anything to try to get people to listen to you because of how you speak from the heart.
Well,
Uh,
it's weird because, like, over the last 10, 12 years, I haven't been working very much, not by my choice.
yeah.
So, it's natural to think that, you're yesterday's news. But every time I step on stage, I got something new written. So I just finished doing a 3-week tour out west. I worked Ricky Bronson's club in Edmonton and his club in New Westminster. And I knew Ricky since he was in Montreal, since he's like 19, 20 years old. So, it was, but then, so I get out there and, the manager of the comic strip, I've known him for 25, 30 years when he started out, bartending at the Yuck Yucks that was at the Edmonton West Edmonton Mall.
Right.
So, I see him and then I see all these comics that the first time on the road was, driving me or middling. And then people come and they said they saw me in 1998 or they saw me in 2006. So it was it warms the cockles of the cockles when people come forward and there's this one young comic. He has a disability and he lives in Calgary, and he sent me a quick little email saying that he was sorry that he didn't have the finances to make it down to Edmonton to see me and meet me, because I was encouraging to him somewhat. So I said, well, we can't have this boy with his crutches out there hitchhiking on the side of the road. That's just not, you don't need to come see me. But I mean, it's just, I've been blessed. Sometimes it's that Jimmy story. And there's a wonderful life. You forget how much of an impact you have had on people. I've been doing comedy workshops for kids at risk, and I got a letter from this one young man. He's 15, 14. He's autistic, and sometimes I didn't think I was making any inroads with him. And then other times he'd walk in and great concept guy. Great concepts, drop concepts on you and then wander off. And then I have to have a bag of cookies to get him to come join the group again. But his mother sent me a little email telling me that she thanking me and saying that the workshop has had a great influence and effect on her son. And so I started to cry when I read that, because I didn't think that, that we're reaching at all. And so sometimes you make a difference when you don't even think the difference has been noticed, much less made.
I'm just wondering how the teachers are going to react in 2, 3 years with these kids having you as a mentor. Lexi Batch saying SNL did a sketch that Thick and Thin did 25 years ago. Do you
Yeah.
think Canada is missing out on its cultural legacy by not investing in shows that go beyond like the banal political headlines?
Well, because I with I think it was After Hours or Thick and Thin, but we did a sketch called Rent a Dread. It was all about overweight white women going to Jamaica and hiring them. It was After Hours, and Rent a Dread. Finding love and romance while on holidays for 10 days, courtesy of SunQuest. So
Right.
then later on, they had that with uh, what's her name, the Adele. So she played the woman, except for they're in Africa. So I'm going very close to what I did 20 years ago. So. And the thing is now there's even more comics of color that are out there. There are comics that of Muslim background. There are women that wear the hijab on stage. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
Hijab. Yeah, they're women that wear
Hijab.
that on stage. Uh, 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 Hodo Hersey, she's got a great line. She goes, "I'm going to the gym, working out, so nobody can see this body underneath what I got on." And I just, it's just like bang, two fingers in the eyes. And then there's a young lady named Selma that's and taking names. So there's, and there's more comics of African background. I screw up a lot of pronunciations of people's names, and there's one young lady that said that's because poor Kenny's tongue has been colonized. So, so, what a cheeky thing to say to me. But what a great line, and maybe it's true. So it's the diversity is greater than it's ever been. And there's more voices that need to be heard. I mean, one of the great thing about the Nubian show is the whole great West Indian culture has stepped forward and has been heard. Orson Payne, he was Bayesian, he's from Barbados, so he had the whole different thing about how the Barbadian uncle talks to him, and then John Paul with the Trinidadian thing, and Mark Trinidad. Originally, that's not even his own last name. I couldn't pronounce his real last name, so I just said, "Okay, you're Mark Trinidad." So yeah, I even give guys showbiz names. There's a Greek kid. I couldn't pronounce his last name, so I just called him Mike George. So I'll slap a showbiz name on you in a minute if I can't pronounce it. So good thing I didn't work Ellis Island back in 1908. I would have changed a lot of Jewish and Italian pronunciations. I would have been one of the worst guys to stamp your passport and give you a new name. But and then got the whole Jamaican flavor, with in the audience when the predominantly West Indian crowd loves what you do, and they give the gun salutes, the thing, the blip 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 blip, and no laughter competes with a gun salute. The Jamaican finger shots. Nothing approaches that. And you got great killers like Tricks now. So it's just and a lot of funny Asian comics are coming up on the scene. Filipino boys with Keith Pedro and Big Norm and Ron Joslo, who I was out with him in New Westminster, and he's got young Filipino comics out coming to see him and hoping that he'll throw them an opening gig somewhere. So he's creating his own crew everywhere he travels now. So he's Nubian crew as well, but now it's Nubian Filipino crew. But I look at it all as just one big beautiful tree. The branches just stretch out.
Will Flynn was commenting, it's great to see one of the old guys that's still relevant. Most important, that you're still relevant and still killing it in front of crowds. He had a good chat with you after Len's Hudson show 1 or 2 years ago. You were generous with your time with him. Will's one of an older guy doing comedy here in Montreal.
Okay. Is he older than me? See, I didn't think I was old. But then I was shocked. Like kids, like guys like Tim Conlon are now over 40. And I say, when did you stop being 23? And they said like 18, 19 years ago. And I said, damn, I thought only I was getting old.
Lexi Batch is saying it's a great bit about the Ellis Island. So handing out colonial names. Will's 58.
Okay, so he's younger than me. He can call me the old guy.
But his first time on stage was just at age 52. So he's just been doing it for 6 years.
And got all that life experience to write about now.
Yeah. I had Habib Siam on the show.
Habib Siam, I am's Habib Siam, I am. I love him.
He was speaking about the love and the occasional tough love that you showed him that helped him grow. So he has great respect for you.
He's a funny cat, and he's a wonderful human being.
Yeah,
he's a gentleman. I've met so many jerks in this business that when I meet gentlemen, I circle their name. I say yes, especially this motherfucker.
And he's a doctor as well, which is
really sad that he's felt the need to find his self-worth in front of an audience of drunken strangers.
He's a doctor of English, though, so it's not like he's.
Well, then he pronounced those names correctly.
At least one of the three of us probably should. To you, like, so you. I like the fact that you kind of reached out. You decided that, hold it, I've made it this far. I need to kind of make sure that door is held open for other people. Do you find any regrets in that whatsoever?
Oh yeah. Well, the hard thing I find is like this may be my legacy, and people forget that before I started the Nubians, I was one of the baddest ass comics in the country. That all, that gets left off the, Kenny did this, Kenny did that. But, Kenny was kicking ass for 20, 25 years, well, at least 20 years before the Nubians started. I'm almost 45 years in this game. I started when I was 19.
I don't think anyone who's seen you on stage could ever forget how much of a badass you are. So that legacy is not tarnished by the fact that you reached out and helped so many.
Well,
Um,
when I saw Trix and Ron Jostle when I was out west, we did our social distancing hug, and as they're leaving, you tell them I'm still throwing smoke. You tell them motherfuckers I'm still throwing it. That was it was more important to me. And yes, good seeing you. I love you. Yes, yes, yes. But make sure you tell them folks that I did about 15, 20 minutes off of with just Black Lives Matter and COVID. Make sure them people know that I'm dropping that. So it was. I need to stop swearing. I'm sorry. I swear too much for your show already.
you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm happy to hear you and you being truthful to you. So we're not moderated. I'm not sponsored by anything. This is I do the show for the likes and the views. So if you're watching it, please hit the like. Uh, this is, and also to document, because to talk with you, to have you heard. You just mentioned Black Lives Matter. Now the political atmosphere that has been the last 5 years, just culminating recently with everything that has happened in this year.
And this ain't even the tip of the iceberg. It's like in Washington, D.C., when Trump had his million mega march with,
Ten
he was
thousand
about,
people.
yeah, 10,000 people. And then there's somebody got stabbed afterwards. But you see these rallies where the guys are walking around with the AR-15s. And then I recently joined on Facebook some black gun owner clubs. And, there's black folks that got as much ammo and as many sights and lasers on their assault weapons as anybody in Upper Peninsula, Michigan. There are people ready for, as they call it, when the shit hits the fan. So, but they had the rally at Black Lives Matter Plaza. So, of course, there is going to be some physical confrontation there because the mega people were trying to take back Black Lives Matter Plaza. So, of course, they're shoving and pushing. The fact that only one person got knifed, I mean that happens at a football game in Wisconsin between high school kids. But definitely, now there's these new alternative media bases for the people that are upset with Fox for abandoning the Führer.
Yeah.
So they're going to be going there, and they're going to be even more ugly and outrageous and to the right. So we have no idea. But as I say, make sure you got plenty of soft drinks and popcorn, folks, because Canada is not without our problems, but we are not that open cesspool that is America. And I say that growing up in America as a proud dual citizen, filing taxes in both countries kind of guy.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Do you have family in Illinois?
No, my
No.
brother, when he died, that was the end of Chicago for us. But I mean to put this in the one man show. It was weird the whole way how my family even wound up in Chicago. We wound up in Chicago because of sexual harassment, and there is no human rights commission or labor board back in the 50s. My mom was a bookkeeper for this poultry company. And every time when she was doing the books, one of the brothers that owned it would come and massage her shoulders or try to lean over and then, rub his Johnson against her shoulder. So every time he touched her, my mother would scoop $300-400 out of the money that was floating. And when they caught her, I think she did a 10-day stretch in jail waiting to go to trial till my dad found a farmer that he bought moonshine off of, because back then in Manitoba, you had to put property up in order to bail somebody. So my dad had to get this farmer friend of his to put some land up to get my mom out. And when it was time for her to go to court, they got this new lawyer that just got out of University of Manitoba Law School. And they said to the owners of this chicken company, well, we know that you have two sets of books that Elaine settled, took care of, one for your family and one for Revenue Canada. And if you go to court, we're going to have to let them know that there's two sets of books. So the chicken the poultry company said, well, no, we would like to do this out of court. If she makes restitution, then we don't need to go to court. So my mother made, I think, 2 restitution payments and said, how am I going to pay off? And she might have been $6-7 grand that she embezzled over a few years, right? But back then, everybody thought it was, lots of money. And she says, I can't pay this back at $35 a week or a month. screw this. So my mom and dad, they flipped the coin. Heads New York, tails Chicago. Came up tails. So they threw me in the back seat of a car with no car seat, a couple of blankets to pad me on the falling, and they shot across the border. And then we were outlaws on the run after that. That's how we wound up in Chicago. She got her own settlement. She didn't take it to there was no tribunal. So, rub your penis up against me on purpose, that's going to cost you $700. So she was her own tribunal.
Lexi Batch is saying that you could easily be cast as the boss character in a sitcom or a drama. She's asking if you have any interest in acting as a compliment to your comedy. Now, do you actually, like, from Radio Free Roscoe, do you have people who watch that as kids who get to know you as that lovable character coming to see you in a comedy club and then
on a cruise ship when I used to be on dock with Billy Ray Cyrus. So, I was doing Carnival Cruise for 11 months, then they caught on to me. So I had people that were fans of Doc, which was on a Christian broadcasting network down in the States. So, then I meet the biggest, baddest thugs. I used to watch you on Radio Free Roscoe. So I get people like that. As far as an actor, I mean, I got into stand-up because I wanted to be an actor, but there weren't too many, when I was like 19 years old, going to University of Winnipeg, taking drama classes there. I had a big afro out there. So there weren't a whole lot of roles for people like me because they were doing a Diary of Anne Frank.
Yeah.
Or they're doing something based on the 1918 Winnipeg or 1911 Winnipeg General Strike, Stryker Schneiderman. So the characters, the parts that they had to give out, I was out of the running just because I wasn't any of those type people. So stand up allowed me to open the doors, and I've been lucky. I've done some acting and my maybe one of my favorite things I did was I was in a movie called Third Miracle with Ed Harris, but the guy that played on The Sopranos, that I can't remember his name now, but great actor, but he was the one that died, and then Tony took over the family.
Okay.
So Jackie, the guy that played part of Jackie Sr., he came in to play the part. He was a priest in this movie, and I was just like a guy that was a desk clerk at a Rummy's hotel. And he calls me into the trailer way better than mine to run over lines. Well, that was so much New York actor studio, real balls busting actor type bullshit to be invited into that I never had that respect or opportunity. So just simply because somebody was thoughtful enough and just said, well, hey, this guy I'm running the lines with, so let's see how we're going to do our rhythm. So just the fact that somebody that was that disciplined called me into that, it's a highlight of a career that I feel it could have been greater, and it still might.
Still might. Don't. I remember distinctly seeing Repo Men, and then the scene with you and that dead stare, like this
Jude Kelly zapped me, tasered me, killed me.
You just you basically lit up the screen. It might be because I was a fan beforehand, but it was like, that's Kenny Robinson. Like, shit's going down.
Apparently, people in the theater in Toronto started yelling my name out. Jude Law, not Jude Kelly. Jude Kelly's a friend of mine. Yeah. Jude Law. I'll tell you though, Forrest Whitaker was in that movie as well.
Yeah. And
Whitaker walks in, and it was like they opened up a freezer door into the room, just, and you just know he was there. And then he shoots the scene, and he comes out, and it's just that big ear-to-ear grin, like all, whatever he was focused on, he did it. And then he let it out, flushed the toilet, and closed the bathroom door and came out smiling. And then when they needed a stand-in for Forrest Whitaker, I said, well, I'll do it. And they said, no, you can't be a stand-in by ACTRA laws. You are a principal player, and we have to find somebody.
They'd have to pay you the same as
they'd have to find an extra to do that. They couldn't let me double up on what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, just to stand on his X would be such an honor. So that was that was a great couple of days working there. Then my good friend Steve Holt, who was a doorman at Yucks for a million years, he had left the nightclub business and became a paramedic. So he was paramedic on the that worked on the scene on the
On the
shoot.
sets. Yeah.
So yeah, he worked on the set. So when you see somebody that from the nightclubs, it's like, Kenny, we're gonna break for you're about to break for lunch. Come on. So he'd give me the nod before the assistant director said, "You may go for lunch now, Mr. Robinson." I said, "Yes, my friend Steve told me I could."
Nice. I Forrest Whitaker got me in trouble indirectly at one point, but that was Last King of Scotland. Have you seen that film?
Yes, that's what he won the Oscar for.
Yeah, it's see, my ex-wife was she was West Asian from Uganda. She
Oh,
was
they
born in
give them
Uganda.
buggers what, 30 days to get the hell out of Dodge?
It was 2 weeks. My
Okay.
father-in-law still had the letter. You have like 2 weeks to leave the country or face
People in
imprisonment.
Alberta going, now that's how you run a country. But yeah, before I left Winnipeg, I used to work in a pinball arcade, and there was a gentleman that he was a mechanic back in India, and they told him, go or don't be seen again.
Yeah,
So I don't think
yeah.
he even had a chance to gather up all of his tools that he needed to as a mechanic to come to Canada. And I remember, sometimes punks would be disrespectful, and I was almost like ready to pound them.
Yeah.
Don't you ever talk to him like that again. And it was just why'd you not speak English? Hey, so just drew the line in the Mr. Din. I don't imagine he's
My
still
ex
with
father in
us.
law spoke 7 languages, and he worked as a mechanic in Canadian Tire.
Well, Mr. Din was hoping to get to become a mechanic again,
Yeah.
but he could fix the pinball machines good. But he used to fix cars and trucks and real things, So it's when you got to scramble, you scramble, and you don't cry. You do the best you can, and you keep moving. And that's what immigrants like that did. I hope his children are happy and successful.
Now you mentioned. I mean, obviously, you're so associated with Winnipeg, and I know that you
They
on
have
that
no
little
love
3
for
week
me in
tour.
that town. They have no love. Like I used to go there and say, "Yes, I'm a Winnipeg man," and they look at me with my yellow shoes and my canary yellow cashmere jacket, and they go, "You ain't one of us. You ain't one of us." And in so many ways, I wasn't, and yet in so many ways, I am. So, but I never felt the love. I never really, I never felt embraced by by the town.
Hmm. Do you what do you feel about like the news that's been coming out of Winnipeg for the past month? And I mean, not just COVID, but the treatment of natives, etc.
Well, Um, well, yeah, I'm not gonna just spank Winnipeg. I mean, this entire country is is
I'm
is
from
is
Nova
not done
Scotia,
its
so
First Nation people. Well, that's like I was asking the question. They when they're having the trouble out in Nova Scotia with the lobster
yeah.
fishermen, and they say native and non-native fishermen, and I go, what's a non-native fisherman? Why don't y'all just say white? Why don't you say the white fisherman burnt up the native fisherman's traps? Why don't you say it instead of non-native? So then so that's the way the media can pick their favorites. So you just don't go in high school. Here's an interesting thing that happened. I was in grade 12, and there were three brothers that came off the reservation to go to the school I went to in Transcona Collegiate, and they stuck together. The Wood brothers. There was Angus and Bert, and there's a third one. I can't remember his name. Anyway, they're walking down the hallways, and there used to be a thing where all the jocks hung out called the coasters bench because they coasted through high school. And I guess when you're a hot shot hockey player and you're 17, you coast through life.
Yeah.
But as life as a 17-year-old hot shot hockey player knows it to be. Anyway, one of these guys yells out "wagon burner" at these three boys that is walking down the hallway. So I give him a backhand, pop, and woo! I said it could have been nigger, but it wasn't this time. So I don't know if he drew the connection to it, right? But so anyway, every time after that day, those three brothers, they never mentioned it. But every time they see me, my nickname back home was Squeak, was a nickname that my dad gave me. Every time they see me, hey Squeak, and they just acknowledged, so we never had conversation or never, they never had to thank me. And I never said, let me know if anybody else talks some and none of that. Just
Yeah.
kind of like that, hey, and it was because I knew that, just as easily they could have been yelling the N-word. And because it was, they were yelling wagon burner instead of nigger, I still knew the heart of darkness. I knew where it came from. And Junior wasn't counting on getting a backhand like he did.
Yeah. Janelle Niles just jumped in with saying non-indigenous makes white people feel better.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't say it. Don't say not and call them what they is. Bastards. No.
My parents were married. There was
Well, you weren't burning anybody's traps.
hell no. No, hell
No,
no.
so I wasn't calling all people of Caucasian ancestry.
Mm.
I still got that. I love to taunt people because my mother was Norwegian Danish background. I always say that the black man in me is not the one you need to fear. The black man is loving and sharing and embraces life. I said it's that evil Viking rapist blood that goes through my veins. It's those it's the people that drank out of skulls. It's those Norwegian Danes. It's these Viking green eyes when they get angry is who you need to watch out for. So not the happy black man that loves mankind, but the man that wants to destroy and behead you.
Janelle has the name Settlers. Just call them Settlers.
Settlers of work. Pilgrims.
Now, all right. This is let's Facebook ban. We touched on this just before we went live a little bit. You've been trying to play good, and you've got some workarounds that you've been doing, but mainly so you could keep promoting when you're about to do live shows. But how many times have you been banned on Facebook?
I don't know, but from now on, all future suspensions are 30 days. So I really have to decide if it's worth me, if it's worth me even getting, telling somebody that I think they're an ignorant sow, a racist sow. That got me 3 days or 7 days. When they fired that coach from the Calgary Flames for calling the young black players music and what have you, somebody said he was pushed out of his job, and I wrote he should have been pushed out of a plane. I got 7 days for that, for bullying. So, and then I did a podcast interview, and then it was like an hour and a half long, and I don't know what I did, but it was on Reddit, and they just took the whole damn thing down. So, and I've clearly have no idea what they took down on that, but any one of 1,000 things I said could have been grounds for it. So, I really have to decide if it's worth my time and effort to comment on so many things. And you have no idea the wonderful memes that I don't repost.
You don't share.
Oh, I share a meme. I'll go to jail for 30 days. No, I can't wish people Merry Christmas. If someone's mama dies of cancer, I can't say I'm sorry for your loss. Being in Facebook jail is what I kind of imagine being in heaven's like. You can look down and see your loved ones, but you can't let them know you love them. You can't tell them it'll be better. You can't even wave and let them know you're there. You just get to watch them exist without you. That's what being in Facebook jail is like.
How has family shaped you?
Um,
Because I know how proud you are of your kids.
yeah.
I know that you had sometimes a difficult time when you were younger.
Yeah, but family's always been very, very important to me. My father, he was with me every day of my life till he died when I was 9. And, then after that was my mother and I against the world. My kid brother and I, he had problems that we never did resolve. And as a result, he drank himself to death, shortly after he turned 40. So, that was, but, the family is everything. It's, like do I waste much time crying that I didn't go to LA and become big? Um, Maybe, but what I cry more is that my oldest child didn't live under my roof. She grew up, underneath the roof of her two moms.
Mm.
As I like to make the joke about, yes, my ex-wife married somebody else's ex-wife. That's why when people ask me if I support same-sex marriage, I say, yeah, $600 a month for 13 years. But I'm sorry that that my oldest did not grow up underneath with me getting to walk her to school and make her cereal or make her lunch or whatever I would have done for her during those so many years. And she was in London. But I mean, I used to take a Greyhound bus to London to go pick her up when I didn't have wheels and bring her, take her back here to Toronto. And then we'd spend like a week or 10 days here. Then I'd have to take that Greyhound bus back to drop her off with her mom and her grandmother meeting her at the bus station, and then take that sad, lonely Greyhound bus ride back to T Dot without my little girl. And then, then I was fortunate enough that I was able to find another woman that I loved and had a family with, and now I drive by there and honk the horn, and they come out and. I give them whatever food things I think they need, and if you need money or whatever. So yeah, families. It's like I can't when my first wife, I moved to San Francisco with her, and then she came back to have the baby in Canada because didn't have that kind of money for out of Canada healthcare. And then
Yeah.
after 10 months, 11 months, the comedy boom had just died,
Yeah.
and the first Gulf War had started, and she just decided, well, this isn't her dream to starve in San Francisco, so she came back with my daughter, and I decided that well, I could move on to L.A. But I said, I think I'll go back to Canada. That way, A, I know I will see my child more than I would if I was in LA. And B, I know I can make that child support. I know when she needs shoes and a parka, I got the money for it. If she wants horseback riding lessons, I'll get that money for it. It sure beat the hell out of them the prospects of having to stay on someone's couch or living in the Comedy Store house behind the Comedy Store for 3 years with the animals before something broke for me. So, the only regrets I have is that, maybe I could have done better for my kids. I don't mean it. I mean, in material things. I remember when my daughter played soccer, I think we were the only family on the team that didn't have a pool in the backyard.
Right.
So, I said, yeah, but you're the only one on the team whose daddy only worked maybe 2, 3 days a month. So, we're okay. You're not wearing secondhand clothes. You got the sharpest of the sharp on. So other than of course I would have liked to make more money so I could have spoiled my kids and shown them more places in the world where they were growing up. But other than that, I'm not warehousing too many regrets.
We got a couple comments have come in. Lexi Batch is saying that you are a spokesman for the people with compassion and empathy, creating a bridge, bringing people together on common ground of humanity. Would you ever host or moderate like a politically correct show? I think by politically correct, she's talking
Means Bill
about
Maher.
Bill Maher. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to, but I think that by many I'm just considered this vulgaritarian that wears sharp suits and talks about making overweight women squirt on his forehead. So because I do include lovely stories like that in my act, it has slammed the door on opportunities that may or may not have been coming my way. But I
I
got a standing ovation once, and I did all political material at a big rally for CUPE for the Canadian Union of Public Employees.
mhm.
So I haven't done many corporate gigs, and I guess that's more of a political gig because it's a union gig, it's a working man's gig. So I got a standing ovation for that. So do I get a lot of corporates? Nope. But I did score a standing ovation when the union people brought me into the hall.
Yep, and I think that's a problem with the bookers because it's definitely not a problem with your act. You are definitely being sex positive. You like when you call yourself a vulgarian. I think you're very sex positive. Janelle Niles is saying, Kenny, you see so many open micers, comics come and go. What advice would you give a comedian 2 years in? Maybe advice you wish you were told because I'm gonna love what I'm gonna hear Because I know some of you drop gold on this kind of stuff all the time.
Read, read, read. Read, 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 read. Be knowledgeable about what's going on in the world, and write. You will never have enough material. You'll never have enough material. You want to have deep pockets. Comics like George Wallace, deep pockets. Marsha Warfield, deep pockets. Um, he
She's been
plays.
killing it online a lot.
Well, she's incredible.
Yeah.
He plays just for laughs a lot. Big fella. I can't remember his name, but another cat with big deep pockets. Anytime I do workshops, I tell the comics, keep writing, have an opinion. Write about something that matters to you, so something that you're passionate about.
Do you actually hit like do you have a schedule? Do you like wake up and say, okay, I've got to spend like 2-3 hours writing? Doesn't care matter what it is, or
When there's trouble, when the shit hits the fan, I'm sitting there. I should be writing in a book, which would serve me better. But instead, I bang it out on Facebook now because I don't get the laughs like an audience has.
yeah.
Lorenzo Bowden. That's
Oh,
another.
Alonzo Bowden. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another cat.
Such a nice guy too.
Yeah, nice
Such a
guy.
nice person.
And the man he's got like birdseed jokes in his pocket, just keep coming out and feeding pigeons. His pockets will never be empty because he keeps writing. So that's another cat that, just deep comedy pockets. I put all the stuff I write now on Facebook to get that response. Sometimes that response is 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, 30 days of not being able to test the response. Also, by me not writing it down in a notebook like I did back in the 80s. Well, I didn't even keep it in the 80s in the notebook. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But by putting it on Facebook, it gets lost easily after 4 days of me posting shit.
Yeah.
So when I get out there, go, oh, yeah, you forgot that joke. So, it'd be much better if I kept it in a notebook. But in the old days, I was one of those comics you'd see, a cigarette pack torn open with it written down in there. Also, I used to read 2 or 3 newspapers a day. So, every time I had a new girlfriend enter my life, they'd see this big stack of newspapers with something circled. Going, it's a fire hazard. I'm going, leave those alone. It's material. So now you save things, and now I got a bunch of things in, favorites or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it was part of the old Mort Saul, Lenny Bruce, find out what's in a newspaper, cut it out, or, even bring it out and explain to the people, this is what you read. There's some things that the joke never happens for that, like I remember 25 years ago, maybe longer, there was a clipping of a man, he was quadriplegic, and he had a hunter's hat on, and he had a tripod on his wheelchair, and he had a leather strap around the trigger of his rifle so he could turn the gun with his head, and he had the strap and he'd pull it, and he'd like to go deer hunting. And I said, you son of a bitch, you can't even wipe your own ass, and you want to go murder an animal. And I tell the story, and the picture that I seen, and there'd be like blank stares, or I tell it somewhere else, like in Wisconsin, where they happen to like shooting deer, and all of a sudden I'm the guy that has no compassion for a man that can no longer walk. So sometimes you keep newspaper clippings that just never have a stage life.
Personally, that's one of my problems. Is if I like a joke, I have a hard time taking it out of the act. If no one else does.
Sometimes it can sit there on the shelf, and then it just falls right when you need it. That's what I love about doing material about school shooters. America's always going to have them.
Yeah.
And the only thing that needs to change, you need to update a few jokes, but the whole mess of them is there. The material is there, and it doesn't need to change.
Janelle is saying, thanks, Henny, that she has a mountain of Post-it notes.
Okay.
She also has a random question. Did the crack epidemic flow into the comedy clubs in the mid-'80s? It's more of a history question.
Yeah, no, we there was a cocaine. There was cocaine. There was cocaine cowboys in the mid '80s. But by the time I think crack might have even been more of a '90s thing. A couple of comics that I know tried it once or twice, but it never really caught on with the comics.
Hmm.
If I mean, at least not here. I had a friend that was out of Chicago. I think it affected him greatly. He died,
Yeah.
but he had all the talent in the world. And the last time I seen him, he was homeless and wearing 3 suits, one on top of the other. So he had all his belongings,
Yeah.
and the suits hadn't been dry cleaned, and he hadn't bathed. But but I knew him when he was fresh faced and 19 or 20 and very innocent. So I shouldn't say it didn't affect anybody. But as far as the scene here in Canada, I can't really say that that crack ever became the monster that it has been for other communities.
Yeah. One of the, two things that I've always heard attributed to you
Oh,
for advice,
huh.
uh, for advice is you know never quit your job too early. Like if you're making money so you can look nice on stage, that you can have that car that runs you to the gigs,
Yep.
it's a lot better than showing up hitchhiking with holes in your jeans. Uh,
Yeah, when I first moved to Toronto from Winnipeg, I wound up I got a job within 2 days of landing. Um, went to Canada Manpower. I don't think they even
mhm.
have that now. And I got a job with a mortgage company, and I worked there from I say '81 to '84. Then finally, I started making enough money that doing comedy and wet T-shirts and what have you that I didn't have to go do a day job anymore. But back in the day, people didn't have money for 8x10s, or you had 4 comics living in the same apartment, and that's no way to live. So yeah, if you got a great paying day job, hug that sucker. And even if you don't, and excuse me for a second, I have to cough. It's a dry one though. It's not. I mean, it's a wet one. It's not a dry one. Oh yeah, lung butter. That means I don't have the virus. When it's
I,
dry, it's either because it's steam heat in the hotel rooms out west, or the COVID done found me. No, you can smell things too. Apparently, if you can still smell things, you don't have COVID.
yeah, the peanut butter test. Smell some
Yeah.
peanut butter.
Well, I just as a joke I was doing was I said I held my girlfriend's head under the covers, and I Dutch ovened her, and when she got mad, I said, "We glad you don't have COVID." But I never did things like that because I was taught not to do things like that. But you know,
You
um,
want to be able to wake up in the morning.
well, yeah, just want to be able to say, "Hey, I'm not that kind of guy that does that thing." But yeah, so it's day job is what's necessary, and so many comics, I guess, just want to have that comic lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you said
Janelle's
there's a second thing.
Yeah, there was. I'm just going to get to Janelle's comment here about your story about the gentleman with the 3 suits. So to get a nice thick suit, so when your life goes downhill, you can stay warm with friends.
Well, the way
The
things are going now, you need a skidoo suit if you hope to keep on doing outside gigs.
Yeah. Now the other thing is dressing for the stage.
Mhm.
Now you say this far better than I ever did. You had a great way of saying it.
Uh, I tell the people in my workshops, dress like you want to get laid. And I had one female comic say, "I beg your pardon." And I said, "Dress like you want to get laid. Said, whatever you think, because it's showbiz. It's attractiveness. It's being sexy. It's being it's being something that that the eye catches. They see if you look sharp, or you look very clean, and you got your style, or based on your character, and you hit on stage, they already got a positive attitude about you before you said your first joke. One time I saw George Thorogood in concert, and the dude came on. He came out with a snakeskin suit. I can't tell you what song he opened with, even though I'm sure I knew the song. But for the first 2 songs, all I could keep yelling was, "Look at that fucking suit! Look at that fucking suit!" So, and he may have opened. He may have opened with the 2 songs I was yelling for him to do for the encore. I already did that, fat boy. Just sit down and enjoy the rest of the show. I don't know, but that suit was all I could talk about for the first 2. Well, the last 2 songs, I pulled a Confederate flag out of some kid's hands, and we were whipping it around the crowd. They never got back. So I'm not sure what. I think it was bad. Might have been they were playing that. But 2 other things like once the Pointer Sisters came to Winnipeg, and I saved up all my little $4 an hour job money to take me and my girlfriend to see them, and they came in. They weren't wearing the throwback outfits. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. They weren't wearing the big hats and all this stuff like you saw in my Midnight Special or Don Kirshner's rock concert. They were in like polyester pants, and one said, "Yeah, we're on our way to Vegas, and we just thought, we'd be kind of like laid back and informal this evening." And you know what? I never spent another dime on the Pointer Sisters again. I didn't care about the Neutron Dance. I didn't care about when they're doing the soundtrack to every movie that Eddie was doing. They didn't put on them fancy costumes. It's like, say, if you went to see Elvis and he just came out wearing sweatsuit instead of the jumpsuit, you're gonna be disappointed. You know, if James Brown just wore like a ball cap instead of whatever hairstyle Al Sharpton gave him that particular day, you're gonna be pissed. Plus, I was speaking about this earlier on another thing I did. I was reading Dick Gregory's books before I ever listened to the comedy of Dick Gregory. And in his first biography, Nigger, he said that he used to spend so much of his money on his wardrobe because he used to be the house MC at Robert's Show Lounge, which was at Robert's Motel. Robert's Motel was a joint on Chicago's, I guess, southwest side where all the gamblers, all the pimps, they went there. All the showbiz people went there. It was the place to be. And he was the MC. There might have been he might have introduced two strippers that night and a singer and then a band and then whatever. But that was his gig. And he says, you owe it to your audience to be as sharp and as clean as possible. He says, because some people may only get to go out once, twice a month. Yeah. And if they decide that, they're going to see you at this lounge, at this club, you may be the closest thing to a celebrity these people have. So you owe it to them to look like a celebrity. So before I'd even thought that I'd someday be on stage, I knew in my head that when you do go up there, you want to look like, the people paid the money. They deserve to see you dressed up. I think it goes along with it.
Yeah. When people would come back to me and say, but I want to dress like me, I say, yeah, dress like you. Just dress like you on a first date.
Like you want to get laid.
Yeah.
See, and people that don't have good get laid game show up like that commercial where the guy's t-shirt's all stretched out because they didn't put the fabric softener in it and give it life again. And them guys going, she's probably a lesbian when they go home after having this terrible date, you know. So dress to impress.
You know what? I could probably listen to you all night. I had told you that we'd probably do this about an hour. We're already past that.
Already?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I should have let you speak.
No, fuck no. This is not about me, man. This is about you. You are you comfortable with the term legend?
Well, I read this. I used to be when I was younger. Because everybody I looked up to was legendary. But I saw this great Miles Davis quote. Said, a legend is an old man walking with a cane, and they talk about what he used to do. I'm still doing it. So I was happy with legend up until about 4 or 5 days ago, till I read that Miles Davis quote. And then I said, well, you're still out here doing it.
Yeah.
Leading by example. That's the beautiful thing about the Nubian show. Most Nubian shows, I usually did 25 minutes of new material off the top. What was happening in the world since the previous since the last 30 days in between the time when we last gathered at this gig.
Yeah. Lexi is saying you look comfortable right now, and she wants to thank you, saying great advice, Mr. Robinson. You are a legend, but you are still doing.
I should show you my walking stick. I got a couple of nice ones, but I don't need them. Well, I do. I need them to when I go strolling. To Same reason as you could wear a fedora or you can wear a toque. One's going to catch the eye more than the other.
And one will keep your ears warm in the winter here in
Oh,
Canada.
well, I was in Winnipeg a couple of years ago for Christmas after my mom died and my good friend Patty Doyle's mom died, and so I flew there to make dinner, orphans dinner. So I brought stuff. I brought a turkey and a ham in a suitcase, in the carry-on. So, because I bought it stateside, I think I paid like $9 for a turkey that was like 46 pounds or something like that. Full of GMO, but it was good.
Yeah.
But so I was out one part of town. It was like 40 below, and I said, "Man, this fedora ain't gonna cut it." So I had a toque in the bag I was carrying stuff in. So the fedora I gently put in the bag, and I pulled the toque out of my coat pocket, and I said, "We're gonna save the ears."
Yeah. Yeah. You have to make that decision occasionally, fashion or
Because you
health.
need your ears to keep your hat up. Fedora will fall down if you don't have them. It only makes sense.
I should have seen that coming. I should have seen that coming. All right. Just there's so much I want to talk to you about. Like you come back. You work with like Darren Frost a lot.
Hmm.
You
Frosty's kept me working over the last few years. Wasn't for him up there trying to book gigs and shit, I would have been in bad shape. But see, Darren and I, we complement each other because we're both kind of we both do that outlaw kind of comedy. He's way darker than I am, and I'm more body fluid orientated. So we never step on each other's premises or taglines, and our styles are different. And but
but appeal to the same crowd. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
plus, he's a great friend.
Yeah.
He's a great friend. So if you're gonna be, if you're gonna, if you got a door deal and the door's smaller than you're hoping at, it's better to be laughing it and laughing with a friend than sitting there with somebody that you're indifferent to.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, didn't make no money, and I gotta look at you, and I gotta be in a car with you too, and I gotta listen to your music. Darren and I get in the car. I don't think we even listen to music. We just talk.
Oh man.
So Frosty, and Frosty and I, we've done some great shows together, and plus we challenge each other to come up with new stuff. So like I know when I'll say something that's terrible or he hasn't heard me say it before, I'll hear him laughing in the back, or I'll hear him go, "Oh no, Kenny, no, no," or if Frosty here, or Frosty's on stage. And he just hit me in the head with a 2x4. He'll hear me cackle from the back of the room, or I'm going, Darren. So it's a call and shout response we have of encouragement,
Yeah.
and you can't do that with it. So other guys go, why are you making noise when I'm on stage? And I said, because I like the riff you just dropped.
Yeah.
But never
I
mind,
so
I won't anymore.
proud of one of some of my. I think it was in Ajax. One of my proudest moments was hearing you laugh at the back of the room. So that's
Oh yeah, hey, I love comedy. I used to love to go to the open mics and not even go on, just sit in the back and see what the kids are throwing. But then I'd have too many comics. How could I get on the Nubian show? Well,
yeah.
first I have to want you. And then I have to see something that, because if I give you a spot, that means that somebody else isn't getting a spot. And this one kid, I promised a spot 8 months ago. So, you're not getting on anytime soon. So it's just being, I guess, I don't, being approached, being harassed.
Yeah.
Um, get up there. Get your ass up there. And if I see some that I like, even if you don't do well, I'm going to call you and say, let's do something. Sometimes you see somebody and their stuff, it's not killing, but you can see the humor. You can see where it's good. You see where they went wrong. And you say, you know what? I'm going to put you on a show. And there's somebody who may even like what they do, but you say, you know what? You're not right for this show, but I may have something else somewhere down the road I'd like to bring you in on.
That's why you're a mentor. That's why you're a mentor. is because you actually watch, right? You evaluate and you watch. Which,
Sometimes it's hard.
yeah, sometimes it's oh, yeah, I know. Sometimes it's hard.
Sometimes I remember, but even like with regular book shows with your middle actor or your MC, I remember sometimes to be in the back of the club. Please, Lord, get me out of this. Take me to another level or something. Please. Please don't make me have to listen to this bad comedy anymore. He doesn't even know he's bad. He thinks it's good. It's not good. It's not good. So what did you think of my set? I was thinking.
I'm trying to think back if you ever said that. All right. Canada's gentleman of comedy, the Vulgarian himself. I'm not going to call him a legend because he's still out there spitting fire. The amazing Kenny Robinson. Thank you very much for being on the show. Is there anything? My pleasure. Is there anything you want to tell people to do? I didn't have this.
Have you any more comments from anybody that's come in that you didn't get a chance to read out?
Let me just see. With Lexi is laughing away. Yeah, you mentioned before the show. You were mentioning how you're now using emojis to do most of your talking on Facebook. Just to
you don't go to Facebook jail for emojis yet. So if I see something and I think the person's an idiot, I just give them that big. Where if a woman has said something that borderlines on sexually inappropriate, there's my shock. I'm not really shocked, but it's a lot easier than say, would you do that to me? And then be considered a creep. So I just give, just whatever the emoji works. It keeps me out of trouble with other people. I'm going to say to everybody, the shit isn't going to last forever. Eventually, this pandemic will kill us all. But until then, keep writing, because nothing could be worse than being down for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and you hit the stage saying the same shit you happened to me saying 8 months ago. Like nothing's happened in your life or in the world since then. So maybe you didn't want to wear a mask and someone got in your face and you said something very funny and disrespectful to that person. So if that was your experience, then put that on the stage. Keep writing, folks, because when it's over, it's going to be thems that were creating and thems that was sitting there going, I miss it so much. What are you going to do when you get a chance to be with it? It's like somebody that hasn't had a chance to see their loved one. I miss you so much. Yeah, what you gonna do? You gonna take them out for dinner? You gonna buy her some new shoes? Or you gonna eat groceries? Now, what is you gonna do when you don't get to miss her, but you get to be back in it? And wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Do whatever you got to do to survive.
Don't be an idiot.
Don't be a fucking idiot.
And Lexi Batch is suggesting Deep Pockets with Kenny Robinson as your
Deep Pockets. You want to have deep comedy pockets.
If you ever did a podcast, that would be a great name for it. Deep Pockets.
I had a comedy podcast. I don't think it ever had more than 11 people ever tuned in. So it was, hats off to anybody and keep doing it.
It's all on the replays for my channel. I mean, we hit, I think, 11 people at most so far today, but we're probably going to have 100 views by the end of next week.
It's all new to me. I figure if you didn't get 400 people listening by the time you did it the 10th time, it wasn't going to happen. And I don't know about replays, but obviously, hey, you're doing it. You're loving it. You're doing a great job. So, some people was made for podcasts.
I've got a face made for radio. Thanks,
That's what they used to say. You got a face for radio. And when I was on radio, everybody used to send me emails to tell me how much they hated my voice. They wanted to make me cry. That's because I was opposite chairs of Mark Strong, who's got that fucking velvety, introduced the Raptors when they win the championship, or introduced the next act on the Junos, coming up on the Juno. He has that rich velvet voice. So yeah, of course mine, my underwear was too tight on me at a young age. My voice isn't going to be the same as Mark Strong's. So
you are Canada's comedy lovable, gruff uncle. That's way too big an explanation, but we love you. I know I love you. People tuning in love you and can definitely learn from you. And we want to thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
My pleasure. Gonna sign out now. Take care, everybody.
Wash your hands. Wash your fucking hands. Please, wash your hands. Wash them.
There we are, ending the